Today we're going to talk about what you should consider when you buy a new surfcasting rod. This is a beginner's guide. It is part 2 in the series. There's two sorts of rods. The first one is a continental style rod. It's only meant for overhead casting, and you cannot use the advanced style for these rods. They are not meant to do that, and they're not built to it, so they'll eventually break. But today we're going to talk about the other rods you can use for the advanced style to develop yourself as a caster, so you're going to become a better caster, cast further with heavier leads and so on, always be in control. It is fun to learn how to cast, and there's a rod for everyone. So we are going to talk about the power rods only, not the continental style. The power rods are developed primarily in England, and then there's other countries also come into play because they have seen the light, so to speak. But there's a rod for everyone. Even if you are only 12 years old, there's a rod for you. What I would encourage you to do is contact your local casting club, if there is any, and buy a used rod. A new rod could cost maybe up to 700 euros. And if you buy the wrong one, that's a lot of money. So this is a guide to buy the right one from the beginning, but I will encourage you to buy a used one. The reason is that you can always sell a quality rod if you buy one. So you are looking around to maybe around, I would say, 300 euros for a quality rod. But remember, you can sell it again if you don't like it. And we're going to take a look at what you have to look at when you're out buying the used rods. So what manufacturers should you look for? Well, there's Surfcasting, been making quality rods for many years, and I think that is what you should be looking for. Many years, a lot of development. Then there is Century, also made some fantastic rods over the years. Even APU have made some good rods over the years, but I don't think they are in the zone, so to speak. Not, they just want to make money, I think, and the quality is going down. They made a very good rod once. I had myself. It was the XP, the Sovereign XP. Fantastic rod. It was very sought after. Then there is Diver. They also had a good consultant. They made some decent rods. And then there was there's Grace. And then there is, I think it's called Italiana Cana. They are developing some very good rods. A lot of tournament casters is using them today, but I haven't got the personal experience with them myself. I only have experience with a little bit APU and Surfcasting and Century. So I cannot advise on how good they are. But to get started, when you're out buying the rod, and a good indicator is the pressure test to see if it suits your body and strength. So stand with the shoulders width between your heels. Place the butt of the rod about a foot out to the side. Take this hand, I'll step back, maybe it's easier for you to see. Take this hand straight out to the side, like this. And now you push all the way down, that you can, with this hand. if you can bend the rod 5 centimeters or equal to 2 inches, then it would suit you for fishing. And this is what we are talking about today, a fishing rod. A tournament rod is something you're going to buy later on. But take a look at it. All you can push. There is a rod for everyone. So even if you are 12 years old, then you can buy a quality rod. Here I have an old model of the Seablick bass rod. It's a 2-piece rod where the upper part is longer than the bottom part. It is designed that way. It would be a good rod for you to start with. You would easily could make the bend test, no problems. It might seem soft, but it will surprise you because it has a lot of power in it. So again, there's a rod for everyone. If you are an adult, I would look for a rod that can cast from maybe 100 grams up to 200 grams. Some rods claim they can cast to 25 grams, but only a few do it well. Here I have the ABU Hellbender HS. After I cast it, I would never put 225 grams on it. I can feel that it's not suited for it. It's not strong enough for it. But 175 plus bait, it really casts well. So you can get rods that can push a heavy sinker far out. About reducers. This is a reducer. If you are really strong and you want to have a longer rod when you cast, then you can move your reel all the way down to where the butt cap would be. And some people during the cast, they don't like anything underneath it, so they'll just cast like this. But on the retrieve, they would like the handle to be a little longer. You can do this, put this in and retrieve. This rod, however, is my most powerful rod. And I'm not as powerful as I used to be, so I had to sell the most powerful rod I had. But I like to use this with the reel down, but a little further up. Let me show you what that looks like. I like the reel to be about a foot up when I have to cast, something like that. So 25 to 30 centimeters up the handle. So when I retrieve, I have it like this. So I actually use my bottom hand to hand the reel when I cast. And this is shrink tubing. You can move the reel up the rod, down the rod, so it suits you. And I want you to find a rod that has shrink tubing. And shrink tubing is like this. This is a small piece. It's a deluxe, and there's different qualities of shrink tubing. It's good quality, so it's actually put on the rod, and then it just shrinks down when it's getting heated up with a heat gun or boiling water. If here at the joints you have shrink tubing either side, then it's easy to take the rods apart, even if you have wet hands. So it's a good thing if you make the rod builder put shrink tubing on here at the joints. One more thing to consider here is that you cannot push it all the way in. It's not designed for that. This piece is for wear and tear. But when I take it apart, you'll see that I have, well, 2.5 inch or maybe 7.5 centimeters has pushed in. That's enough. So don't try to push all the way in, it's not designed for that. This reel seat is movable. I have put in some bicycle tubing under this one, but you can actually move up and down. What it does is the reel seat will foot when it's put on here and tighten down, it'll push down there and lock the reel seat down. This here is a way to mount some bicycle tubing. It should be 1.5 centimeters wide, around 12 centimeters long. What I do is just lift this one up, fold it over like this. Now the reel can't move anywhere. And I have this bicycle tubing I can pull over here. And it's important that when I let go, it flips back, so it doesn't just flap here around here when the reel is spinning. So I'll do it like this. Take these up here, put my thumb over, so the knuckle here is on top of the spool. A movable reel seat is very important because the rod should suit you. So, very important to consider. If you're like me, has short fingers, you might consider coasters instead of a reel seat. They look like this, but they are not comfortable for the fingers. This one from Breakaway is. Then you don't have any material except the bicycle tubing between the rod and the reel foot. Then I can get a deep grip here. I prefer coasters. There's a lot of different out on the market, but yeah, buy a quality one. But if you have short fingers like me, this is the way to go. Another thing you would like to consider is this. This is a fast link. Can it go through the last guide and especially the tip ring? Then it would make your day much easier. There is other rig links out there, but this is my preferred one. As you can see, there's also reflective tape here. This is meant for night fishing, and I prefer to have 3 pieces on so I can see if there's tension on the line. When you buy a rod, you should also look for cracks. You use your nail. Your nail is very sensitive, so you can push it against the ring, either side, and then you'll detect if there's a crack. There might be some spare varnish there, but you can see that. A fishing rod has a different behavior. They call it the action of the rod. Basically what it means is how it bends and where it bends. There is a specialty cast called the South African cast. Some say it's both an aerialized cast, or some say it's when the sinker and the rod and the line between goes over 90 degrees. I shouldn't be the judge of that, but an off the ground cast rod tend to be have a stiffer tip and a softer butt section, where the pendulum style rod and the back cast has a very stiff butt and a soft tip. And then you have the mix between. But what I like you to buy is a predictable rod. So you know that if I put some power in here, then it's gonna feel stiffer in that way, and so on. When you're new to casting, you do not know all the casting styles. And that's why I want you to buy an all-rounder and a predictable one. Then you can tune yourself in if you are to one style of cast or the other. So again, the first rod you buy is not going to be your last rod. The rod I advise you to buy, again, depending on your strength and so on, should cover about 90% of your fishing. There's specialty rods for very rough ground, and there's specialty rods for very, fine sandy beaches with small fish and so on, and a glass tip, and there's all sorts of rods out there. But what I want you to is buy a rod that you get a good start with. And that is very important. But also a rod that you can develop it. So I mean, you should buy a rod, like with the pressure test. It will challenge you, because you'll find out that when I have my hands in front of me, here, for the push-pull, I'm stronger than I'm having here. And that's some of the things you have to develop over time. I hope these points and these issues I have talked about here today will give you a clue and a quality clue about what rod you're going to buy. I will wish you a very good buy, so to speak, and take care.